project that we've done continuously. Our guardian angel, General Colin Powell. Our David, Eddie Dixon, the sculptor. And our Gideon, Mr. Jack Walker. There are many various businesses and individuals and companies, as I said before, but Fort Leavenworth has been with us from the beginning. And for that, we're very grateful. How many people working for Fort Leavenworth are here today that was here 25 years ago? So I'm going to go ahead and call out some names. There's a young lady who's not here today. Her name is Ann Chatton. She's proofread every writing that you see on the markers out here for the monuments. And gratefully so, she's in the Navy section. Geiger Ready Mix. I don't know how Geiger Ready Mix and cars got to a meeting one December. But Mr. Geiger went out and got all of his suppliers to give them all the gravel and dirt for the monuments. And he provided all the cement that you see for every monument out here since, free of charge. Representative today, Mr. Blaine Weeks. And his wife, Mary Weeks, I didn't know they were together until a little while ago. But she started with executive services from the first event. Next we have the Richard Allen Cultural Center. Before there was a Richard Allen Cultural Center, there was and still is, and it still is vast. We waited a lot of nights typing, 11 or 12 o'clock at night, requests, and she corrected my grammar. And now, Richard Allen Cultural Center, under the direction of Ms. Edna Wagner, is still here with us and helping us out. Where's Ms. Wagner?
Straight ahead.
And they are hosting some things for us for the new project of 6888 Postal Battalion to make the first pledge of $6,000. No. The next person that came to that meeting that December day was a man named Julius Cobbs. And his son, Steve Cobbs, and his granddaughter, Miss Jody Cobbs. We work with 30 generations now. Mr. Cobbs donated all these ponds up here, just the labor that we had to pay for. Somebody asked, how did you do so much so quickly? Because so many helped. Mr. Steve Cobbs has dug every hole that you see out here. I thought it was easy to dig a 3-foot hole. It is difficult. And his daughter, his granddaughter, Miss Jody Cobbs, has always done things for us, and she's already pledged for the new project. You just can't give enough. For that, we're very grateful. Another person can come to Dormill Gallery. Meredith Rush and her husband, Rich. She's up there working now, selling prints. But before she sold our first print, and she gave up her commission on those prints so that we could get the money a lot faster. And she stored them all these years with free of charge. Until recently, she paid all the insurance too. Another company that's been with us since the beginning is Carthage Stoneworks, used to be Carthage Marble. We're working with the third generation there too. Chuck Erickson is here representing Mr. Larry Stack. One of the things that allows us to move so fast, he has never asked for a down payment at all. We're allowed to proceed a lot faster. We want to thank you all very much. And he's working with us again on the next project. I'm sure he gave us some cost breaks because no way in the world we can afford that excellent help. Another company is Armed Forces Insurance. They gave us the first $5,000 for the project even before I got here. Ms. Orndorff. Representing Armed Forces Insurance is Ms. Lori Simmons and Chairman Tom Dowd. was $5,000 for the Gerson Monument. Another company we work with, the third generation, is a Young Sign Company. Mr. Young, father, I don't know, I met him in Bell Hall one afternoon, and I needed a big sign, 8-foot sign says, the future site of the Buffalo Soldier Monument. They didn't have computers in those days, so he painted me a big sign with the monument and everything. I said, how much you want? He said, give me a copy of the Scouts outprint that we were selling for $125. That's all he wanted for that $800 job. He got the best deal because that print is worth $3,000. I worked with his son, Michael Young, and his daughter, Ann Horns, who's running the company now. Every time I pay them for a job, they turn around and give me a deduction, give me a donation. I can't express that, but thanks for you. You've drawn some conceptual drawings for us. We are now working with their grandson, who's been drawing different designs for us for the new project. He's out of town on vacation. So that's how we continue to stay in business. I hope I've not forgotten anyone. But if you got a copy of the program from the original dedication of the monument, the theme was, to God be the glory. And to this day, we say, to God be the glory. And may the spirit of the Buffalo Soldiers ride with you always. I want to thank the young soldiers who set up this place today, and y'all have traveling grace to y'all. Thank you so much.
Or what this monument symbolizes, those qualities are how this monument educates, and those qualities are how this monument inspires. To me, this monument symbolizes the spirit of the American soldier. For it is the American soldier, the unsung hero, who does his duty faithfully, regardless of the environment that he's thrust into, or the political conditions of the day. This particular monument that we acknowledge today is a physical depiction of that soldier, in this case a mounted warrior, doing his duty. You'll note, while his mount may appear hesitant, concerned, or slightly resistant, the trooper is prepared, confident, and with his rifle at the ready to go forward into the unknown and do his duty. There are also 3 physical features of this monument that are symbolic, and they provide the context for where this mounted trooper is placed. And I would suggest where this trooper is positioned is not just symbolic, but it is also foreshadowing. As you walk around the upper pond, you'll notice the first physical feature, the pond's irregular shape. That was by design. The sculptor, Eddie Dixon, wanted the upper pool of water to reflect the tumultuous times of the second half of the 1860s. As you recall, the American Civil War raged from 1861 to 1865 and had torn America apart. People familiar with Bleeding Kansas know this well. By 1866, when the 2 infantry and 2 cavalry regiments that would later be known as Buffalo Soldiers were established, America was in a period of rebuilding and westward expansion. The Buffalo Soldiers played a critical role as the United States, which at that time only consisted of 36 states, continued its drive to expand coast to coast and fulfill the government's policy of manifest destiny. To execute this policy, the government relied on its army, as it often does, to continue forward progress. In this case, it was the Buffalo Soldier who received the mission to help the country expand west along the frontier. And that is where the waterfall comes in, the second symbolic feature. The waterfall is representative of the breaking down of barriers of tradition. The use of the African American soldier in this critical mission of expansion, settlement, and protection would not have been possible just 10 years before. Remember, the Emancipation Proclamation had only been signed into effect 3 years before the establishment of the 4 Buffalo Soldier regiments. And the third symbolic feature is the reflecting pool that you see at the bottom of the monument. As you follow the monument down from the upper pool across the waterfall to the lower reflecting pool, you'll notice that the pool is symmetrically shaped and the waters are calm and smooth. And I might add today, Commander Philpott, that today they are clear and blue. This pool represents hope for the future. And while the future may be unknown, it is because the soldier, and in this case the Buffalo Soldier, has done his part and accomplished his mission, that we can look forward with anticipation that things will be better in the future. And this explains the significance of the placement of the Buffalo Soldier. He rests astride the 2 pools, symbolizing the bridge from the tumultuous past to the hopeful future. The second overarching quality I'd like to discuss is how this monument helps educate. It has been said that those who ignore the past are condemned to repeat it. So with that in mind, just what exactly are the lessons that we should take away from this monument? May I offer that the Buffalo Soldier was and is the manifestation of what we mean by the term selfless service to the nation. To a soldier, these are not just idle words. Let me put this in context of the period of the times. In 1866, the Buffalo Soldier was assigned to the frontier of the growing nation. He was stationed at the far-off ends of civilization in a hostile environment that endured the sweltering summers, the driving storms, and the freezing winters, oftentimes up against a hostile foe who would frequently engage in mortal combat. So let's reflect upon that for a moment. Stationed at the end of civilization, in a physically hostile environment, engaged in mortal combat, that probably sounds very familiar to many of you combat veterans in the audience, whether it is World War II, Korea, Vietnam, Southwest Asia, or Afghanistan. You understand what I mean. But what makes the Buffalo Soldier more impressive was the political climate under which he operated. Segregation and discrimination were still actively practiced by the country that he represented, that he fought for, and that he died for. But amazingly, this did not deter the Buffalo Soldier from doing his duty. In one word, he persevered. He persevered because he knew, just like the calm waters represented by the symmetrical reflecting pool in front of you, the future could and would be better. And this brings me to my third overarching quality that I think about when I see this monument, and that is inspiration. To me, this monument has grown to mean something more than just the Buffalo Soldier. It represents the American soldier, who is proud to have the 4 Buffalo Soldier regiments as part of its distinguished 242-year legacy and part of the history of the United States Army. For it is the soldier who is always at the ready, symbolized by the Buffalo Soldier and his rifle drawn, ready for action. And it is the soldier who is the quiet professional, who answers the nation's call to duty, symbolized here by the Buffalo Soldier's decades of perseverance and professionalism. And it is the American soldier who, just like his predecessor, the Buffalo Soldier, was, is, and will always be something larger than himself, ready to make that sacrifice for the good of others. So for me, this monument represents the spirit of the American soldier and his selfless devotion to the nation. And that is why I think this monument is so important and grows in significance each year. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for letting me address you today, share my thoughts about this monument, and more importantly, for letting me help remember the significance and the sacrifices made by the Buffalo Soldiers. May God continue to bless the United States of America.
God is on his way. always know that the Army goes rolling along.
Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for joining us today. Please